Ah, Berserk. How have you been through so much pain, misery, and woe for over 20 years? With Morio delaying the manga since the beginning of time, will we ever finish the story of Guts to kill Griffith? Oh my god! Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's good. That's good. But even though that we have to wait an eternity for the Berserk manga, at least there are going to be stuff to keep the tide going. And one of the things that I would recommend people to do is actually give a shot of Sword of the Berserk, believe it or not. Like I said, this is going to be a side story of the actual story for Berserk, but it has some cool elements that I think a lot of people would really enjoy. So let's get into this. Let's give you an intro. Sword of the Berserk, Guts' Rage, or how it's called in Japan, Berserk Millennium Falcon Arc, Chapter of the Flowers of the Oblivion, is a hack-and-slash game for the Dreamcast released in February 9, 2000, published by Eidos Interactive, known for Deus Ex and the Tomb Raider series. Helmed by the original creator and manga artist Kentaro Miura, the story treads between volumes 22 and 23, after the Conviction arc where Guts and Casca escape from the Holy Chain Knights, but Farnese renounces her religion and follows the main party along with Serpico and Isidro to follow. The duo along with Puck stumble upon a land plagued by the Mandragora. A disease infected its inhabitants and delving into their more primal instincts, causing them to go insane with rage. They meet the mayor Baron Balzac, lord of the nearby castle, who is looking to rid of the plague from the known area, yet contains some mysterious motives that puts your actions into question. This leads into the story that has an incredibly satisfying conclusion, and one you will love to experience, complementing the main story rather beautifully. The game is treated as a filler title, but it's just as engaging as the rest of the series. So there we go, that's the basic overview of Sword of the Berserk for the Dreamcast. Like I said, this is a hack and slash game. It is a little bit odd just because it really differs from 17 years how this came out to now compared to like games like God of War or even the Berserk Musou game, if you can actually see it right there. But we'll see how this kind of compares to modern standards. Maybe you guys will like it. There are a couple elements that for me brought me over to this version, so let's check them out. Believe it or not, Sword of the Berserk in itself was a revolutionary title in terms of gameplay. It was one of the first real hack-and-slash games in 3D that beautifully used gore, something in which Ninja Gaiden and God of War would follow. However, within the 17 years that has passed since its release, it's definitely not aged well. Your main attack, of course, is the larger-than-life sword, the Dragon Slayer, forged by Goro, the blacksmith and Ricket's mentor. This more than satisfyingly slays enemies in half, with your alternate choice of his crossbow, pocket bombs, and his fake arm cannon. The game follows a basic level system with enemies and bosses scattered throughout with a very subpar save system that saves after 3 or 4 levels. And this of course wouldn't be a Berserk game without and Guts has a huge system for that. Run a couple of attacks through him and he goes into Berserk mode, giving a huge boost in his power and speed. But the downside to this is that it activates automatically, giving you no control when it can be used. One of the biggest gripes so far I had was actually Guts' range when he swings the Dragon Slayer. Some levels have small corridors and narrow passages, making it difficult to kill enemies in close quarters, which the only resolution being to use punches and crossbow ammo. As revolutionary as it was, it has a very shallow depth to it as it is very two-dimensional, but frankly this game isn't to be played for the gameplay, but rather the story. The graphics on the Dreamcast were some of the best the era can produce on console, but I don't feel as though the same can be said for Guts' Rage. Character models look a bit bland and unimpressive, minor detailing outlining their clothing and armor, but can you really blame me for the brutal honesty? I mean, look at the model compared to Mura's cross-stitching, like come on! Textures on the environment look fine with decently spacious areas when needed yet narrow at times, but my hugest gripe are the character animations. The movements are far from realistic, having motions only Bender wishes he could muster. Add to the fact during serious moments of the game where characters give exposition and emotion, either through their voice acting performance, it completely destroys the mood of the moment. Here, let's take a look at these two scenes. One from the '97 anime and the other from the Dreamcast.
俺はそのかがり火でちょいと温まっていこうとブラッと立ち寄っただけなのかもしれねえな。
Oh, it never ends. Oh God, lead me to your side and somehow bring peace to these evil sinners. Don't!
Now I understand this is a 1999 video game, reviewed on a Dreamcast, and you are correct. Hardware limitations were set for this title, but you just can't feel but rather cold about the environments and the characters after all, coming from this detail after coming from the manga. I was rather harsh on the graphics and gameplay, but please slap me silly if I say anything remotely negative about the music, containing such a unique sound that only composer Susumu Hirasawa can produce. It is a soundtrack perfectly describing raw emotions of pain, power, and anger with melancholy moments of sadness and despair. It is such a beautiful range of emotions, and he continues what he started in the 97 anime. The voice acting is great as well, with the English VAs reprising their role from the anime. However, the English dub can only be found here. The audio levels for the voice seem a bit low, either being drowned out by the characters or the music, making a bit of an unenjoyable experience at best. Like most Berserk fans as well as myself, the series needs to be experienced in Japanese dub, and the only way to do so is to burn an undubbed copy or import the Japanese version on the Dreamcast. Either way, the music will more than satisfy you along with a good cast. Did I mention that Colonel Campbell is the mayor of the town?
The war broke out. The townspeople always escaped here. Now it's become the hideaway for us, the resistance.
You know, the popularity of the series has really started to grow and gain notoriety, and the price is soon to follow. As of this video, copies are looking at a current low 20 disc only, and if you're lucky, to a high $40 for complete. Like I said before, with the release of the new Berserk game, the Figmas and the figures, and of course season 2 of the anime, so who knows where it's going to be headed after the hype starts to increase. And again, you have a franchise known for its rarity all throughout its figures and anime releases, so good luck collecting those on that front. So this leads to the question, why did we forget Sword of the Berserk? Well, it isn't hard to figure out this one. The Dreamcast, as we all know, died and lived a very short retail life of 2 years, and Berserk is a series that had little notoriety even today, but momentum is surely gaining. This game has the perfect mixes of being forgotten with an unknown franchise on an unknown console. It just didn't gain enough love. But this is where you, the viewer, come in. You know about Berserk and know about the Mandragora, Guts' struggle to cure Casca and fight the God Hand. And what better way to know Guts' adventure than to actually play it? Well, not the best gaming experience, it's an enjoyable one, with more than enough elements to keep your eyes fixated to the screen. Any Berserk fan needs to own this title. It's not perfect. It's been 17 years since this game was released. Let me check. Yeah, it has been 17 years. I'm sorry, 1999. This was published in 1999, and of course it was released in the States in 2000. But you know what? Even for what it was, it's still a pretty cool game. It's got a great story. The music from Hirasawa is just, ooh. And I just think you guys will definitely enjoy it. So thank you so much for checking me out today. And of course, if you can, I would appreciate if you liked and subscribed. I like to do content every single Friday. And of course, I do streaming on Twitch every weekday as much as I can. So thank you guys so much. Put links in the description and of course in the video so you could check out other content that I have, because I'm going to be doing more of this. And of course, be ready for next week because we're going to look at the other title. And that is the Berserk game for the PS2. A lot of people don't know about this one, so I like this one a lot more. Oh.